Neville Mutsvangwa, the son of Zimbabwe's Minister of Information, Monica Mutsvangwa, a young man accustomed to privilege, accustomed to living above the law. Then the unthinkable. Neville was arrested. He was charged with fraud, forgery, and money laundering. Zimbabwe watched in disbelief as a seemingly untouchable figure was dragged into the harsh glare of the legal system. This arrest sent shockwaves through the nation. Was this a genuine attempt to tackle corruption, or a carefully orchestrated act for political ends? Whispers of a power struggle within the ruling party began to circulate. Many saw Neville's arrest as a sign of internal strife, a move against the old guard by a new generation hungry for control. Zimbabweans held their breath. They waited to see if the legal process would play out fairly, or if political influence would tip the scales of justice. The air crackled with tension. The nation was on edge. On one side stood the weight of the law, on the other, the looming shadow of political influence. The case of Neville Mutsvangwa had become a crucible. It was a test of Zimbabwe's justice system. Could it truly hold the powerful accountable? Or would it crumble under political pressure? The eyes of the world were now fixed on Zimbabwe. Would this be a turning point in the nation's fight against corruption? Or would it be another example of impunity for the elite? The stakes were high. The future of Zimbabwe hung in the balance. The charges against Neville Mutsvangwa were serious. Fraud, forgery, and money laundering. Crimes that could land him behind bars for years. The prosecution presented their case. They alleged that Neville had used his family's influence to secure lucrative contracts. Contracts he had no intention of fulfilling. They claimed he had forged documents and siphoned millions of dollars into offshore accounts. The defense team countered vehemently. They argued that the charges were fabricated, a smear campaign orchestrated by political rivals. They insisted that Neville was a successful businessman, a victim of his family name and political machinations. They demanded evidence, hard evidence, not mere allegations. The legal battle lines were drawn. The courtroom became a stage for a high-stakes drama. Lawyers sparred. Evidence was scrutinized. Witnesses were called. Each side fought tooth and nail to sway the judge. The public watched closely. They dissected every twist and turn of the case. Opinions were divided. Some believed Neville was guilty. They saw him as a symbol of the unchecked greed of the elite. Others believed he was innocent, a pawn in a larger political game. The charges against Neville Mutsvangwa exposed the deep divisions within Zimbabwean society. Divisions that ran along political lines, socioeconomic lines, and generational lines. The case became a lightning rod for long-simmering frustrations. Frustrations with corruption, inequality, and the abuse of power. Political machinations, or justice served. The question of political influence loomed large over the case. Neville's family ties were undeniable. His mother, a prominent figure in the ruling party. His father, a powerful businessman with close ties to the government. These connections fueled suspicion. Was Neville's arrest a genuine attempt to tackle corruption, or was it a calculated move in a larger political power play? Suspicions were further heightened by the timing of the arrest. It came at a time of increasing factionalism within the ruling party. Was Neville a casualty of internal power struggles? Was he being used as a pawn to weaken his mother's political standing? The lines between justice and political expediency became increasingly blurred. The case of Neville Mutsvangwa exposed the intricate web of politics and justice in Zimbabwe. It highlighted the challenges of ensuring a fair legal process in a context where political considerations often held sway. It raised questions about the independence of the judiciary. Could the courts truly operate free from political pressure? Or were they merely instruments of the ruling elite? The case became a litmus test for Zimbabwe's commitment to the rule of law. Would the legal process be allowed to run its course? Or would political influence ultimately determine the outcome? The answer had profound implications for the future of justice and accountability in Zimbabwe.